And no, despite the insistence of YouTube slop, Fever coach Stephanie White is not a sleeper agent for the WNBA's old guard activated to Paige Clark's most exciting qualities. White is, however, a ball knower who had a front row seat to Clark's Iowa wizardry as a broadcaster and realizes that sometimes the best way to get her the ball at the end of the possession is to have her give it up in the beginning. Now,
a heated debate has erupted across the WNBA media landscape after a television analyst appeared to criticize Caitlin Clark on national television, while major sports outlets also took aim at independent basketball creators online. What began as criticism of fan reactions and YouTube commentary quickly escalated into a much larger conversation about coaching philosophy, media narratives, and the direction of the Indiana Fever. According to many fans and independent analysts, attempts to defend head coach Stephanie White by downplaying Clark's role only intensified backlash from supporters who believe the team should fully embrace Clark's fast-paced, playmaking style instead of limiting it within a rigid system. The controversy grew even larger when advanced basketball statistics and synergy data started being used in debates across television, podcasts, and social media. Critics argued that mainstream media personalities were selectively using analytics to support their own narratives, while independent creators pushed back by highlighting contradictions between the data and what fans were seeing on the court. For many supporters, the situation exposed a deeper disconnect between traditional basketball commentary and the modern WNBA audience, which closely studies film breakdowns, offensive schemes, spacing, and player efficiency. Rather than silencing criticism, the public arguments only fueled a growing online movement of fans who believe the basketball establishment is underestimating both Caitlin Clark's impact and the intelligence of today's WNBA viewers.
Caitlin Clark at Iowa, and think to yourself, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the exact opposite of that. If I'm going to take Caitlin Clark off ball, you know what I'm going to do with her while she's off ball? Nothing. I'm going to do nothing with her. I'm not going to implement an offensive system so when she does play off ball.
For the past several weeks, independent creators and passionate basketball fans have been sounding the alarm about what they believe is a major offensive problem inside the Indiana Fever system. The criticism centers around Caitlin Clark's role when she gives up the basketball. Instead of remaining involved in the action, fans have noticed Clark frequently being moved to the corner and standing still as a spot-up option, something many believe wastes the unique playmaking ability that made her one of the most electrifying players in basketball. As frustration grew online, the WNBA media establishment began pushing back hard, defending Stephanie White and dismissing critics as overreacting internet personalities who supposedly do not understand the game. That tension exploded even further when a major article from The Ringer attempted to shut down the growing criticism surrounding the Fever offense. The article reportedly mocked independent creators by labeling channels like these as YouTube slop, but instead of ending the debate, it poured gasoline on the fire. Fans immediately responded by digging deeper into the actual basketball data and film breakdowns. Ironically, many people believe the statistics used in defense of Stephanie White actually expose the exact concerns critics have been talking about all along. Comparisons between Caitlin Clark's Iowa years and her role in Indiana showed dramatic differences in offensive freedom, spacing, and usage patterns that sparked even more debate across the basketball world. The most talked about numbers involved Clark's offensive actions through synergy data. Fans noticed clear differences in how she operated at Iowa compared to her role with the Fever. While her responsibilities as a pick-and-roll ball handler increased in Indiana, many argued that the offense still lacked the pace, movement, and creativity that allowed her to dominate at the college level. Isolation opportunities, free-flowing transition play, and dynamic movement appeared far less frequent, leading many fans to believe the system itself is limiting her impact. What started as online frustration has now become a much larger battle between mainstream WNBA media, independent basketball creators, and a fan base that feels increasingly ignored as the pressure surrounding the Indiana Fever continues to grow.
In Iowa, in this piece, and the difference is pretty stark. Clark play type percentage per synergy. You have Iowa's 23-24, the years most of us fell in love with her, compared to Fever 25, Stephanie White's year. look at all these stark differences. Pick and roll ball handler, less in Iowa, but more with the Fever. Isolation, less in Iowa.
When fans took a closer look at the synergy data graphic published by The Ringer, the entire argument surrounding Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever offense suddenly started to fall apart. The graphic compared Clark's offensive workload under Iowa head coach Lisa Bluder to her current role under Stephanie White in Indiana. The article attempted to argue that Clark also played off the ball at Iowa, suggesting that fans were overreacting to her role with the Fever. But once basketball fans actually examined the numbers, many believed the data exposed the exact opposite of what the article intended to prove. Under Bluder's system at Iowa, Caitlin Clark was constantly active when she didn't have the basketball. The numbers showed significantly more cuts to the basket, more catch-and-shoot opportunities, and far more movement generated through off-ball screens and motion actions. Iowa's offense consistently created ways to keep Clark involved even after she gave up the ball. The system relied on pin-down screens, backdoor cuts, elevator actions, and constant movement designed to quickly get the ball back into the hands of one of the most dangerous shooters and playmakers in basketball. The offense never allowed her to become stationary, because every possession was built around maximizing her gravity and creativity. Fans believe the comparison becomes far more concerning when looking at her current role in Indiana. According to the same data, many of those off-ball movement actions have sharply declined under Stephanie White's offense. Critics argue that instead of creating motion and opportunities after Clark passes the ball, the Fever system often leaves her standing still on the perimeter while the offense slows down around her. To many fans and independent analysts, the very statistics meant to defend Stephanie White accidentally became mathematical evidence supporting the criticism. The debate quickly spread across social media, basketball podcasts, and YouTube channels as fans accused mainstream media outlets of ignoring what they believe is an obvious offensive problem. And as the conversation continued growing, attention soon shifted toward ESPN and other national outlets that were also attempting to defend the Fever coaching staff, while frustration from the fan base continued reek.
Talks about the pressure in coaching someone like Caitlin Clark and the scrutiny that comes along with it.
Curious about what the pressure is like for you coaching her, because every single thing she does is so hyper scrutinized. You know, you had her for 13 games last year. You're looking at this as we start the season right now, but what's it like for you coaching a kid like this that everyone's watching?
The controversy surrounding the Indiana Fever exploded even further after ESPN analyst LaChina Robinson made comments on national television suggesting that the Fever played some of their best basketball without Caitlin Clark on the floor. The argument centered around the idea that Clark dominates the basketball too much, making Indiana's offense easier to defend, while the team supposedly played with more balance and diversity when she was sidelined. To many fans already frustrated with Stephanie White's offensive system, the comments felt like another attempt by mainstream media to defend the coaching staff while shifting blame toward the franchise superstar. The backlash online was immediate as basketball fans began pulling up statistics and advanced analytics to challenge the narrative. When people looked at the actual numbers, the argument quickly became even more controversial. Indiana's winning percentage with Caitlin Clark in the lineup was dramatically higher than without her, showing a difference that fans viewed as impossible to ignore. The Fever were reportedly over 10 percentage points better when Clark played, a gap that many argued completely destroyed the idea that the team functioned more effectively without her. Advanced metrics painted a similar picture. With Clark on the court, Indiana's net rating and offensive efficiency reportedly ranked among the best in the league, while lineups without her performed closer to league average. For many fans and independent analysts, those numbers confirmed what they already believed, that Clark was not the problem, but rather the engine carrying the offense. The debate quickly turned into something much larger than simple basketball analysis. Fans accused national media personalities of trying to reshape the narrative around Caitlin Clark and protect Stephanie White from criticism as pressure around the Indiana Fever continued building. Independent creators began breaking down film clips, offensive spacing, and lineup data to argue that the real issue was not Clark's style of play, but the system surrounding her. Social media exploded with reactions from fans who felt mainstream analysts were ignoring obvious statistical evidence in favor of defending the coaching philosophy. As the season approaches, every comment from ESPN analysts, every offensive possession, and every coaching decision involving the Fever is now being dissected under an even brighter spotlight.
The Bluter system and a Steve Kerr system, since everyone wants to bring up Steph Curry, they have Steph Curry moving around. They don't have Steph Curry passing the ball up and standing still. They don't have Steph Curry decoy screening and plopping his ass in the corner. They have him moving. But let me get this right, because they're going to get into it. Steph Curry needs to play.
The most alarming part of the entire debate, according to frustrated Indiana Fever fans, is that the media commentary seems to perfectly mirror the exact philosophy Stephanie White has been promoting behind the scenes. When ESPN analyst LaChina Robinson argued that the Fever offense became easier to defend when the ball stayed in Caitlin Clark's hands too much, many fans immediately connected those comments to statements White herself has made about wanting more versatility and balance within the offense. Reports and interviews discussing the Fever's desire to move Clark off the ball more frequently only fueled the growing belief that national media personalities were not simply offering independent opinions, but were publicly reinforcing Stephanie White's overall coaching philosophy. That philosophy has become the center of one of the biggest basketball debates in the WNBA. Critics argue that taking the ball away from one of the most efficient playmakers in women's basketball history makes little sense, especially when Clark's passing, vision, and deep shooting range are the primary engines driving Indiana's offense. Supporters of the system claim more ball movement creates unpredictability and prevents defenses from focusing entirely on Clark. But frustrated fans believe the problem is not the idea of off-ball movement itself. It is the way the Fever execute it.